Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the contributions that I made over the past essentially 6 months. Okay, we, we can talk about uh, the contributions related to computer vision. I will try to keep it as short as possible, uh, and then so we can start. Okay, so yes, so I introduce myself. My name is Sergio. I'm from Spain. I hold a PhD in artificial intelligence. I also do some open source contributions to Hugging Face at the moment, and also to another organization, which I'm also introducing during this small presentation, which is called Gator. And you will know why I'm presenting that that organization as well. Okay, so my main point of the presentation of this talk is that how after done this of going from this was like more than six almost a year ago, like in April. This was my first into one of the Hugging Face repositories. It was at the moment the computer vision course. As you can see, it was pretty naive. So I just made a correction on the phrases of one of the sentences that the course had. I will also share the slides since it has a lot of our links to every single pull request and so on, so you can access all of them. Okay, so my idea of the presentation would to show you how you can go from this a small contribution that I made a few months back, this contribution which was released this week, and where I was part of this release, the small the agents course using small agents, the second unit essentially. So I was leading that contribution along with other along with fellows from the Hugging Face team, and I was quite happy to have this opportunity. They talked to me about whether I could help them with this contribution, and it was quite interesting to get a lot from the inner workings of the base ecosystem. Okay, so as you can see, you can go this small contribution like in a few months back, this big contribution to be part of the releases, even as I'm not silent. Okay, so I'm a part of the team, and I'm just a contributor. And as you can see, they encourage a lot of this type of setting here with the community. Okay, so that's something that I really appreciate, and of being part of this opportunity. You can access the course is live right now. I hope you've already assigned to the you've already taken this unit. Okay, so just to share some numbers about my contributions overall. So I made over this past, especially since this came about six months ago, so more than 100 successfully matched pull requests. This can sound like a lot of pull requests, but you see that at much. Okay, so since the majority of them and then the core would be just a small exchange, just get to know the repositories and the projects, and then just a small part of them that go to original contributions, to the recipes that I've made, to the agent scores, to other things where I've been lucky to contribute. Okay, and as you can see, I've also made a list of the repositories where I've contributed. Essentially, the cookbook where I've made some recipes, then the agents course, then the Hugging Face Llama recipes, computer vision course, and TRL would be where I've made the majority of the contributions, and then another set of repositories. What you can even take from this set of repositories is that, okay, Hugging Face is now for the Transformers repository, for other types of repositories, but you can make also contributions to smaller repositories. That's going to be, at least for me, easier since it's not so complicated, and the code base is not, it's not so complicated that you can make contributions without that much effort. Okay, since you always need to consider the amount of time that you can spend on this type of contributions that you are making. Okay, and I've also made a list of the main topics that I've covered in these contributions. So essentially vision, then LLMs, multimodality. We will see since nowadays, as in the previous presentation, we've seen that many of these models also combine vision and even other type of modalities with language, essentially, and that's what we call the multimodality. Then I've also been taking part of on agents and reasoning in the last few weeks. Then some drag, and then some self-tuning, and part of from that, and just to sponsor my other side project. I'm not only contributing to Hugging Face repositories, but I'm also part of another organization called JD Robot. Since I've been part of this for 7 years now, since we've received funding for the Google Sandbox Code program for over the years. I started as a student developer, and then I became a mentor, and I've spent 6 years after that as a mentor, essentially running projects in robotics and artificial intelligence, which are obviously open source, and as so you know, we may be looking for candidates since we applied to be part of the Google Summer Codes once again. So you may just search for the organization. If you find that it's interesting, you can just send a message to any of the potential mentors, just expressing your that you would like to apply. Okay, so as you can see, I've also been part of this organization, which is essentially an open source organization. So I have some experience in the open source world. Okay, just to share some interesting projects that I've contributed to the Hugging Face ecosystem. So I just enumerate that all the recipes that I've contributed to the cookbook, since that was I'm currently the contributor, and the goal of contributing there was essentially just so I can learn from the experience of generating something that it's meaningful. So that was kind of the idea behind that. So I started, as you can see, with they are just listed from the oldest to the newest that I've made. So I started with some fine-tuned notebooks on object detection, and then on semantic segmentation that you can access directly here. So I will share the presentation later, and you can access it then. So I essentially started with fine-tuning a cookbook recipes. The interesting part here, and it's something that will also repeat afterwards, is that I think that it's interesting for me that you have access to this set of that you can take, and you can take it. Which, so for example, we do about the Hugging Face ecosystems, and not only about the repositories, but the credits that they give you for inference. We can also talk about the Google Colab ecosystem. So I always try to take advantage of these freest, let's say, so everybody can access that as part of the open source community. Since something that I was at the beginning, something that I was struggling with is that, okay, let's see that we have a tutorial here, but they always using the OpenAI API, or they are using something like that in for. So I was always trying to not use anything that was that you need to pay, so everybody can access. Since you also come from working at a public university, so that's why I always try to keep everything that I do open and reproducible. Some of the recipes actually need, for example, a Google Colab Pro account, like that. But the majority of them, I try to keep them as small as possible, as reproducible as possible, so everybody can access that. So that was kind of the idea behind starting with these contributions. So, and yet understanding, I think that it's already something that we can see along, is that, okay, I started just getting to know the ecosystem, getting to know the tool set that one, and the repositories that Hugging Face has, getting to know the maintainers and all the contributors. So how do you start with that? Is by making these small contributions that I've already talked about. So for example, you just make a small fix on documentation, or something that it's small, so you just start getting to know the people, getting to know and you start just gaining something. So then go for a bigger feature or a bigger issue. Okay, and you also have to consider that the amount of time that you can just basically work on the issue, on the feature, on the pull request that you would like to make. Okay, so that's why I've always tried to keep things small, also for myself. Okay, not to be not to feel burnt out. Yes, straight away. So I was always thinking about making small contributions that are meaningful and impactful. How? Okay, so also something that I find interesting about this type of contributions is that they can be impactful somehow. So something that I would always recommend to anybody who who contributes to Hugging Face or to other open source organizations is that it's not only about making the best project, but you also have to share that with the world, create good documentation, talk to the people, and share that in social media, and so it's it's known. Okay, so for example, if you just made the best project ever, but you don't make that advertisement, yeah, that project is not going to have the same impact as the other one. So that's always something that I try to do. Okay, so as I said, I started with a couple of fine-tuning recipes, just so since that was something that so I also come from a background of computer vision, my PhD, so that was something that I already knew in depth. So that's why I started contributing into that part, and then I moved into something just to learn a little bit more about everything that was happening, not in space, but along the whole artificial intelligence world. So, for example, I moved then to a multimodal rack, or using some document retrieval model, especially in this case called Pali, which is really powerful, and it's used like a lot nowadays. And combining that with a visual language model, since I wanted to basically to learn and to learn by making some examples. That's why I generated this project. Again, you can access all of them from the slides. As you can see, I always try to make small diagrams just to show what's the recipe about, what's the small project about, so you can just see directly what's the concept behind that, and understand quickly what's going on. Since I consider myself to be quite dumb there, so I always need something that it's visual just to understand the what's going on. So, and then I moved to generate another fine-tune recipe, in this case also using a multimodal model, in this case a visual language model QN2 at that point, using another tool that I was also eager to use, in this case the Hugging Face TRL repository, which is specialized in training modelings on top of the Transformers repository. So since that was quite new at that time, I just wanted to understand what was going on behind the scenes. So that was why I developed this project. Okay, and just moving beyond that, I generated a recipe using multi-agent rack system that came from a blog post that I saw, and I wanted to just reproduce the idea behind that. They didn't produce any well, they didn't give any sort of code. So it was, I don't know the company name right now, but they gave you this architecture, but they didn't give you any code. So I was just saying, okay, let's try to reproduce this using, at that time it wasn't even the small agents framework. It was at that time part of the Transformers repository, since that the repository was separated like ago, like even a couple of months ago, 3 months ago. I mean, then I generated a multimodal track. In this case, so I talked with Merv, which is part of the Hugging Face team. Yeah, we saw that I don't know how I found this idea, but I learned about the re-rankers, but the multimodality, since that was part of part of the LLMs at that time, but part of the LLMs ecosystem time. So this model was released and then generated a new multimodal track, just trying to learn essentially about these new tools. Okay, and then you've talked about the small BLM. So I have another recipe on using the small BLM, and not only the small BLM, but also called small BLM, which is essentially the same as called Pali, but but using behind the scenes the small BLM instead of the Paliyema model. And I essentially did that just following the same ideas just said a few minutes back, of trying to keep things small and reproducible as possible, so you can directly run that on a Google Colab without the need to spend a lot of resources. And I also like this, and I haven't said that, but I also like this type of Google Colab idea. I think that most of us use that on a daily basis, since you can directly use and try any single project like directly running the code, and then if you don't need that, you just get rid of that, and you don't need to install anything in your personal computer. Okay, so that's something that I also find interesting from this type of recipes, small projects. Then I've also made some fine tuning on using the small BLM, since I was also trying to do this type of fine tuning on a consumer GPU. That's small, really small version of fine tuning for this type of case. But again, you can directly use that and get the feeling. Okay, and after that, if you feel like you would like to spend the resources, or maybe you have the resources, you can reproduce that on a real Python script, and then run that again on a personal computer, on any type of instances. Then I also did some fine tuning again, but try with the small BLM, but instead of doing that using the general ERL trainer procedure, I used the DPO, direct preference optimization type of training procedure, and then the latest ones have been related to reasoning, since as you already know, that's something that it's quite hot at the moment. So the first one is scaling test time in compute for longest thinking in LLMs, was something that was released in December, I think. This comes from, again, another blog post from the Hugging Face team with code, where they try to reproduce this scaling of the thinking time with the test time compute idea, since that was thought that the latest model from OpenAI was using this type of idea behind the scenes, but then DeepSeek came along. Yes, it was a month back, with this post-training idea of the GRPO. That was essentially the last recipe, just trying to reproduce that idea, but again in a small version. This can be run on a consumer GPU, on a free tier Colab account. So that's kind of one of my main motives behind all of these type of projects. Okay, after that, just to finish with the projects that I've contributed to inside Hugging Face. So the latest one would be the one that has been released this week, the Unit 2.1, the for the course, which is called the Small Agents Framework. Okay, so essentially just few sub-units just talking about the small agents possibilities, and even showcasing this feature that you've just said, of combining of using small agents with some vision, and it was quite fun. So I recommend all of you to go there. I mean, just take a look at the course, since I think that it's quite easy to follow. And if you haven't tried the small agents framework, I think you will learn a lot about how does it work, and it's quite straightforward to learn from that. And just to finish with this part, I made a couple of contributions to the Hugging Face YAML recipes. So as you can see, I always try to keep things small again, since this was just two small projects, small recipes that could run on small setups. So that was kind of the main ideas that I would always try to take into consideration there. Okay, so after this is part of the talk. So how you can start contributing, or how was my experience overall? This is just based on personal experience, so you don't have to follow every single point that I share, or maybe you find that any of them are good for you, but it's essentially what has worked for me. So maybe it's also worth just saying. Okay, so if you would like to contribute this, as you can see below, I just say then that these ideas apply for any type of open source project, not only for the Hugging Face ecosystem. So the first idea would be to find repos that you love. So for example, and going deeper into that, I would say that find repos that you love that are maintained. Okay, so just check whether or not the issues are up to date. Was the last commit made? The pull requests are active, everything there. And not also that, but for example, I can find the transformers or this type of repositories quite attractive. I love them, but I feel like they are quite the difficult, as I've already said, the level of they are really hard to start contributing there, since there are a lot of people contributing that have been around for a lot of months, maybe even years. So I would say, okay, find repos that you love, but also consider this type of ideas and have these ideas around yourself, okay? And after that, find an issue or create an issue. So for example, you just can share through the list of the open issues that the repo has. You have, and if you find something that is appealing to you, you just can read the description, and if you feel like you may be a good contributor to that issue, you can just engage in the contribution, in the talking with the maintainers. Okay, since as I said below, it's really important to communicate during this whole process. Okay, so I've added there two possible ideas how you can create an issue. So one, okay, you found an issue in the code or documentation, so you can go to the issues to see if it's already open, and if you see that you can open that with a good description of what's the issue about, with a good title, and then start engaging into the conversation with the maintainers. Okay, and another possibility is that you found an interesting issue or feature that you would like to work on. So you can reach out to the maintainers and talk to them about whether or not they are interested in that kind of new feature. Let's say that you would like to contribute to the Transformers library. You would like to add a new feature. So instead of going just directly and open the issue and start working directly on coding, you would like, what I would do is just start engaging with the maintainers and talking with them about whether or not this idea is interesting to them, or even if they are already working on that idea. This is, for example, for the Hugging Face ecosystem, since there's a company behind that, possibly many of the ideas are already part of the roadmap of the main ideas, okay? And as I also say there, is that the open source maintainers and contributors. So don't hesitate and talk to them through, for example, through this type of channels, through Discord, through GitHub, through any type of social media where they are active. So don't hesitate and do that, since they are always open to new contributors if the repository is open source. Okay, and then communicate ideas, since I think that it's really, really, really important to communicate throughout the whole process, from the starting point to the ending point, and even beyond that. Okay, so let's say that we already have that issue, that feature that we'd like to work on. So after that, we solve the issue or add the feature, and once we've done that, we can create the pull request. And it's important here to write a good title and a good description, just adding as much information as possible. It's also use this set of free tools that I've already said. So for example, we can inherit a notebook collab just to reproduce the a snippet of the idea that you are reproducing or that you are contributing. I don't know, that's something that it's always interesting. Okay, so adding a good title and a good description, so you have to think about the other people that would that are gonna be as reading through your ideas and through your code. So and they are quite busy. So if you just go straight into the point and you just go straight into the point, but just extending the description so it's easy to follow, and so somebody who is outside your pull request can directly just read through the description and understand what's going on. Okay. After that, we can just improve the pull request if it's needed, if it's requested, and then it's going to be merged. It's going to be part of the code base. And after that, again, as already said, it's important to communicate the results. Okay, so just so the repository has impact. So the project or the pull request that you've created has the impact that it's needed. You can also communicate the results through social media, through I don't know, Reddit. So any type of media that you would consider that it's interesting to share. Whether it's interesting to share the results. Okay, so that's, I feel that it's quite important. Just as I've already said, that it's not only about generating the best pull request or the best project, but also about communicating, since that's part of what it's really, really good inside the Hugging Face ecosystem that they, for example, we've seen right now that they've released this second version of the small VLM with support for video, and they just provide small demos, small applications, so you can just directly use the models. So that's something that it's really interesting, just to show the results and communicate the results of what you've generated. Okay, so just to finish, I would say that as my advice, as what I follow, that you can just small, just so you gain confidence. So, for example, you can start just by fixing a typo in the documentation. After that, I would just go big. Okay, so propose a new feature and start collaborating more and more on the timeline. Okay, and as a tip that I've already said is that it's interesting to take advantage of this set of free tools that we can access. So, for example, the Google Colab, everything inside Hugging Face, another set of tools that are free and that we can use just to make these open source contributions more impactful and more interesting overall. Yeah, after that, I'm done. So I would say that now is your turn to make your first contribution. Okay, so thank you so much, and I don't know if you have any questions regarding what I've said. I'm open to answer that.
Thank you. First of all, amazing. How much you did in 6 months. I want a piece of activity. It's when I asked you to come here and present some stuff about contributing, I didn't know how much you actually contributed. I just saw you. I saw you around like on Discord and on LinkedIn. I saw some stuff you did, right? And then what you didn't mention, you're also an active reviewer actually for the computer vision course repository, right? So I see you there. And I always know, like, okay, I can ask Sergio to review. That's amazing. And I think from my experience, I can also say what you said is very true. So like start small. You can start by contributing a completely new model to transformers if you want, but it's not the best starting point, I would say. It's easier to check.
Find that to be really true, that, but it's really appealing that you just say, okay, I'm gonna go directly and add a new feature to the transformer, but then you can feel like completely overwhelmed by that, since there are a lot of contributors there. So that's why I would start small, and even I would also start with smaller repositories, or just with a small contribution with just fixing some typos or something like that. Yeah,
absolutely. I think my first contributions also were like fixing typos or just doing copy pasting for some docs stuff in transformers that wasn't there, right? Just stuff where you don't have to think about like the coding part. It's more like you have to think about, okay, how do I get all the CI CD stuff right? Does it all work? Like the workflows besides the code, basically. And I would also say, like, look for smaller repositories, because I feel like transformers is also a bit run over by people, right? When there's like a new issue and it's like good first issue, then people jump on it and they just take it when it's there for like an hour or so, and you don't have the chance to.
That's really true.
Okay, are there more questions? Not, I have one more actually. You mentioned that you work at a university, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for all the contributions, what is like your main time of day to work on that? At what time of day do you?
contributions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that I haven't mentioned, but it's also really, really important that you have to really understand how much time you can spend on the just contributing overall, so you don't burn out. So yes, um, I just worked as a public university doing research, essentially in the intersection of computer vision, robotics, and artificial intelligence, doing projects focused on autonomous driving. So part of that time, well, I've done the majority of that outside working hours, but also part of the is learning and this type of contributions have been part of something that I would need for the university job. Okay, so that was also something that I've taken some advantage. So, for example, let's say that we need some object detection part. We are currently working on a tool for semantic segmentation. So I need to spend some time just researching and understanding about the state of the art and about everything regarding the semantic segmentation world. So I can spend some time just reviewing that and basically kind of generating that recipe that it's for myself, but I can also sell it into the world. So it's kind of I've been lucky enough to need part of what I contributed for my personal job. Yeah. But taking that aside, would say that yeah, always consider the amount of time that you can spend contributing. Like, don't go directly to a big feature or something like that. And again, start with small contributions, so you just get in that feel. And after that, you may feel, okay, yeah, I really like that, and I really like spending this amount of time just coding. So I will go to something else, to something just bigger. So yes, yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's always great when you can combine that, right? You can work stuff with like
Anything else? Okay, I haven't checked the chat. Okay, so somebody said that they've used my notebook, so that's really, really interesting, and something that it's also quite rewarding, and that it's also part of this impact art that it's really rewarding, and that encourages you to make more contributions. So I really appreciate that, and I've also seen another examples. And you just understand that what you've made, even if it's small, or it's meaningful somehow. Yes, that's something really, really interesting. What was the most defining moment for you in this experience? I don't know. I have had like lot of interesting moments. The most rewarding one, I think, this week when we released when I participated in one of the releases from the inner Hanging Face team. So that was really, really, really interesting. Just working along them like directly on the course. Yeah, I would say that that's probably the most interesting moment. But also this when I receive this type of messages saying that if you produce more than use for somebody as for something else, so that's also something that been quite rewarding. Thank you for the insight. Yeah.
There's some more typing, so maybe you wait for the typing, if it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, it's pretty interesting to get like a glimpse inside of the Hugging Face organization, right? Like how they work and how things work in like one of the probably most popular open source companies of the whole world, right? And it's really cool that you get
Yes.
through contributing and get people and yeah.
Yes, since you're in touch with the inner HF team, I just wanted to see if there are any project board for users to keep pick up features and implement, contribute. Like, not really. There is no, and there is, at least from what I know, I sound outsider again. I always, everything that I've known is from, it's public. Okay, so everything comes from the issues, from the repositories or directly from talking to them, but using social media, basically. So, for example, I learned about this agents course since Ben, which is part of the team, published a tweet on Twitter, and I sent I replied to that tweet just saying, okay, I want to contribute, and we started just talking about how could I contribute to the course. So that was essentially it. Okay, so but again, just to reach that type of possibilities, let's say, always start small. Okay, so since you need that time and you need to also have like that understanding of the ecosystem overall. So you just want to contribute to any of the ideas. It's not just going there and okay, let's work together on a new feature. But instead of doing so, just start small, getting to know the people, the maintainers, and then just engaging into the conversation and the repositories more and more. Yeah, I would say that's the what I follow and the way to go.
Yeah, and maybe I would also add, like, if you have something where you think it's a great idea, right? Always feel free to propose it somewhere, like in a Discord or something. Like with the computer vision course, right? It was so from my side, I was like, hey, why is there no computer vision course? And I also asked that actually in the Slack channel we have as Hugging Face Fellows, to the Hugging Face people, right? And nobody really answered. And then at some point I was just like, okay, I just get it started. Let's get some people together on Discord and let's start our own computer vision course, right? And I think just a week after, like Mervis jumped on and was like, hey, that's a great idea. And then I got like support from the Hugging Face team. So you can also just start something and try to, then get in touch with Hugging Face people. And
And essentially that what I've said here of communicate. Always communicate with the maintainers and the people there.
That's true. I think also you communicate the results. I think that's one of the key principles actually of the Hugging Face company is that when you see on social media how active the people working for Hugging Face are, it's always crazy, right? They're just they're always communicating their results and
but that's part of the impact. I would say. And whenever you communicate that in the right way, you get more impact. Overall, since everybody is aware of what you've done.
Okay, great. There's another one typing. You upload the slides, right? Somewhere. Do you put them?
Yeah, no, yeah, I can share that directly on LinkedIn, on either whatever, or maybe as part, well, on even as part of the video in the description or whatever. So, and
A computer vision channel on Discord?
yeah, of course, yeah.
Good place. This.
Great.
Okay, great. Then I would say, time for the quiz actually, right? I hope some people stay around for the quiz. I feel like it's been quite long already.
Yeah,
For me, it's always the most fun part is the quiz because I spend some time preparing questions, computer vision questions, and then